Using established global styles but reflecting it in our own inimitable Indian way.
See, I think we should start with an established global style in the start because that can help us make more balanced and better beers when we're reading those styles at that point. Maybe we're not tasting the beer, but that is going to open up a door for us to use all of these ingredients. You were straight away trying to and then we divert away in our own stream.
So let's say 5 years down the line.
Yeah, so that rebellion should happen around what we're doing in terms of the way we're thinking and how creativity is coming into a pint.
Thanks.
So one question for you, Gautam. From a brewer's mindset and the narrative to a consumer mindset, there's sometimes a large lacuna, and that narrative fundamentally does not reach out to the consumer, and he doesn't kind of get that sense of what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
So how do you bridge that?
See, there's another reason around that. When you see a chef, he's usually the star out there. When you see a bartender, he's a star out there performing over there. That connection changes a lot. And as a brewer, you're usually you're scrubbing your tanks inside a place and you smell really good of caustic soda. You're very clean as a person, right? But that doesn't sell like the best thing in that way. So I think brewers themselves should get out and speak more to the audience they're catering to. Because if that gap is not bridged, you don't know what they want to drink. So it has to happen simultaneously in that way. Brewers, and for that, brewers have to come out more. They should be more vocal about what they're doing and how they're trying to achieve it. Because there's a big difference, right? We make a beer, we can't dump it. If a cocktail goes bad, he can make us another cocktail.
True. That's what
I'm not saying it, but yeah, the sad part is they have to stand there all throughout behind the bar.
That was what my next impromptu was it, because when you're a chef or you're a bartender, the feedback is more instant.
Yeah.
For the brewer, the labor of love is, the variables can be
For sure.
equivalently different for everyone, but the labor of love is a little matured vis-a-vis and takes a little time.
Yeah.
So from that point of time, from the time a brewer is reaching out and understanding with the consumer, like she mentioned Maggie, for example. I was just sharing with George as well, that one brand called Tuyam has made a Maggie flavored noodle, kurkure kinds for that matter. So you have a nostalgic value to it. But her mindset could change 3 days later.
Yeah.
But the brewer has already started their journey
Yeah.
of brewing it with his innovation of Maggie for that matter, or equally. So that narrative is where I feel that, the gap, how do you get across to that person?
It's about being vocal first about what we're doing, and it's about talking. It's got to start somewhere. I'm not sure. I can't have a definite answer for that, because at every situation it's going to come out in a different way, right? For that it has to be according to obviously it's going to be very different after you talk to a crowd in one part of Delhi compared to a crowd in another part of Delhi, and the audience I'm also catering to. And what's happening over there? What do they expect from me? So we have to balance that out in a way like that. And so when things like this are established and we have our own styles, we can see a future where there's proper organizations, in a bigger way where government is directly focused on the goodwill of promoting science and research around barley, about grains, about botanics. The farmers are doing well. Farmers do well, politicians are happy. Politicians are happy, they keep the excise happy. And everything benefits us in that way. So I feel it's very important to play it, step by step, but someone has to do it and someone has to do it collectively. We can't keep working on different factions around the place and trying to do different things. Everyone has to be on the same page and talk to each other about how to change things. Hey, we should be louder than them, right? For sure. Yeah, anything else?
Yeah, so I have something. So anyways, as in okay, we keep on innovating new beers, but then how do we convert that into a mainstream beer? Because ultimately you keep on innovating let's say Maggi masala beer, but then it's a very short-term beer. You can't really go out there in the market and say have a regular Maggi masala beer. What is that acceptance
You mean commercially?
Yeah,
commercially in terms of if I want to package it and keep it on the shelf.
Not packaged, but also all throughout the year. beer, you could say, you know. Like I'll probably make a Maggi masala beer, but then it's going to be like just for like that month or 2 months maximum. But I don't know if I'll be able to sell that for the whole year, because let's say as a customer, maybe someone's going to try it for once.
Yeah.
Okay, when try kar liya, it's a nice Maggi masala beer. But then he probably can go back to a nice, Hefe or lager, whatever, like a commercial
So
stuff.
we got to take that risk.
So
you
how
know.
do we bridge that gap basically?
We got to take that risk. We got to take that risk in terms of like, if you want to change something, it's not going to be always comfortable, right? So we have to like, we make it once, we see the response, we make another batch, obviously people are getting bored by then. And that is why we are innovating, right? Because we want people to get bored of what they're already drinking. That's why we're coming out and doing new stuff, new things, because we want to be proud as brewers about like, doing new things, which is coming out from here, where like a lot of people try to shun that, we can't make good beers in India. And certain things in that way can only be bridged in that way.
But then is there any kind of beer that probably you've had personally which has actually bridged that gap somewhere where it's been like a mass accepted thing despite of being very innovative as such? So is there any kind of beer that you've tried or had?
So I was a part of, like we did a beer called, it's a sake influenced beer. So we got koji berries like to break down some activity. And it was like a cross between a sake and American cream ale. And sweetened a bit with yuzu, with a bit of like tartness. That was one, and then we did some spontaneous fermentation. Like we try to isolate our own yeast strains, and that is what I want the industry to go to also in this country. Because like when we look at like the vast flora and fauna this country has got, it's always been my dream to go down to like Valley of Flowers, and isolate our own strains and see how they work and develop them in a certain way that we have a character towards that also. And we as brewers start driving that, that's when it's going to lead towards like a future where even the government is actually looking into these things, where they're promoting they're promoting research for hops, for yeast, for malts, and everyone's benefiting. Our stories are going to be much better.
It's from the scratch ultimately.
It has to be from the scratch. Because right now we're not doing what we have to do it in our certain way. We're doing it more like, we're just doing it because we want to compete on the same, no, we're not even competing over there. Yeah, we're just put away from competition. So we have to get ourselves into that competition. We have to showcase what we can do as brewers. But what is key to anything cooking or brewing or baking is like we got to find that balance, right? And I'm sure like, Kajal did that. Otherwise it'll be too Maggi masala.
One more question I have. So India is a new market for beer comparatively to US and to other countries. So do you think it's easier for our customers or the drinkers to make them aware about the beer with the innovative beers or with the traditional beers?
See, like when we think about like a mass volume of customers, unless we don't start it, the bigger guys with a bigger reach to distribute to a bigger market won't see it. And they won't make that change. So it has to again, like, it's a step-by-step procedure again. So if we do it, the bigger guys are thinking, the wider masses are going to get curious that beers can be something else also now. And that's when we can then obviously they can try our product and try the same product on the mass scale and then let the consumer decide what they want to drink.
Yeah. So my question was like, is it easier as a brewer to connect a customer to beer with the innovative products, like if you're using Indian
sure, definitely.
or BJCP style beer, which is a traditional beer, like, which one do you think is more connecting for a customer?
See, if I'm sitting across someone and like, for example, like you're telling someone that you're making a beer with Maggi or you're making a beer with Bale, it's going to connect them more rather than me sitting down and trying to explain BJCP LS guidelines to someone, right? No one cares about the ready notes at that point. We need to care about them as brewers and as so on, but those guys won't really bother about all of that. Yeah, all good. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Gautam.